I think that some trends do influence, but just because something's trending doesn't mean you should try it or do it or follow it. For me personally as a chef, I'm always inspired and thinking of weird things that may not pertain necessarily to food that inspire me with food. So that could be something from, weather or seasons, or something I see at a weird art fair that I'm like, I want to make a dish that looks like that weird piece of art I saw because it sticks in my head. As a classically French-trained chef, I think that normally you wouldn't want to take risks and you would want to stick to what you know and what are the fundamentals of being in the kitchen and of cuisine. But I think that for me, it's extremely important in order to stay relevant to take risks and make yourself uncomfortable. And that for me goes hand in hand with when I'm dining out and things I'm eating, as well as things I'm gonna try or weird things in the kitchen that can be total failures and total successes at the same time. Recently, I tried a more risky dish that was a pasta dish, but I wanted to do a sauce that had chocolate and coffee. I wanted to pull espresso and use that as the base of the sauce for the pasta, it turned out really, really good. The bitter with the sweet from the chocolate, and then I used lemon and mushrooms with it, which you would totally think is a little obscure, but it all played really well together. The only thing that was maybe a negative was that guests were always hesitant to eat it at night because they're like, oh, there's espresso in this dish. So they, didn't want to have the pasta sauce because they were like, am I gonna be up all night? And I was like, well, it's espresso, but it was so good. It was really good. I think that my favorites in Chicago are always constantly changing, but a couple of my favorites are, there's a restaurant called SKY, and it's kind of, people don't really talk about it that much, and the chef he's not super out there in the community, so I had never heard of it. And then I went there and it was one of the best meals of my life. And then there's another restaurant that is really, really good. It's called Giant. And the first time I went there, we had ordered a couple things, and it was the first time I had ever really experienced this, but I then was like, I want everything. I'm not hungry, I'm partially feeling sick, but let me have the rest of it. So that's how I knew that menu was something special and that restaurant was something special. I think right now I'm honestly 50-50 about technology in the kitchen. So there's different things that are positives and negatives about it. So positive is Chef's Warehouse. They create an app for chefs to use for when they do their orders. So now I can be in the kitchen, I don't have to worry about going to the office and going back and forth to see if I have something in my walk-in. I can open the app, throw it in my cart, and check out. So that's a pro. A con for me would be getting rid of the human interaction and reducing that more and more. You could be somewhere, it could be somewhere as simple as like Chili's or something, where you have this, I don't know what they call it, module at the table. They have like an iPad at the table where you can play games, and then, oh, I want to order this and I want to add this, and then you don't even pay with your server. You pay on the thing that's been sitting at the table the whole time. So, it just continues to eliminate the human interaction and the people part, which hospitality for me is all people-based. So it's as important that I have a good relationship with my front of the house employees as I do with my back of the house. And the reason is because a lot of times chefs in the kitchen, you work so hard to put something on a plate and beautiful and mind-blowing and tastes amazing, and you can have one server in front of the house who maybe doesn't feel the same way or doesn't connect to it the same way, and they can be serving the table and the guests and putting this plate down. There can be no connection. So if they don't feel that connection, it's not gonna come through, and because I don't always have the interaction with every single guest, then a front of the house employee can make or break your restaurant in a second. I try to remember as a chef that sometimes, a lot of chefs have egos. And so sometimes it's not about me and what I want on the menu. It can sometimes be about what the servers want and what they connect to. and making sure that you have communication with them to ensure like, hey, what do you feel like our guest wants, you know? And that way they feel more involved with, and they can connect more to the dishes that we are serving. So I have a whole new menu rollout protocol. So it's a list of different things that are helpful for back of the house so they can connect and relate to the food, as well as for front of the house. So I have a whole chart of, you know, the dietary restrictions and different ingredients that are in the dish that they might not know what those are, where they come from, or how they've evolved over time. And so I try to make those dishes, you know, I try to make them feel something in relation to the dish. But it's extremely important because, you know, the first thing you do is eat with your eyes. So sure, I can put something beautiful on a plate, but if the server doesn't feel anything towards it, you know, or the runner, or they don't remember what's in the dish, or they don't know why the chef made that dish, or what the chef was inspired by, then it just ruins the whole thing. So we might as well all go home at that point.